dream. Together stronger, we're one great team. Quality, think differently. Break the walls, set the vision free. Innovation shining endlessly. Quality, think differently. Think differently. People united, voices combined. Quality lives in the power of time. Every hand, every heart, together's where the change will start. It's more than the process, it's more than the rules. It's courage and vision, it's powerful tools. From leaders to learners, we all play a part. The culture of quality lives in the heart. Tomorrow's brighter, can't you see? The future calls with unity. Quality, think differently. Break the walls, set the vision free. Innovation shining endlessly. Quality, think differently. Quality, think differently. Lift your voice, sing the melody. Together we'll shape our destiny. Quality, think differently. Quality, think differently. Together we rise, together we'll be. Quality, think differently.
Manager, National Certification Body of Jamaica, Mrs. Navinia Wellington Ford. Executive Director, Bureau Standards Jamaica, Dr. Velton Gooden. CQY Caribbean Chapter Representative, Mr. Christopher Chinapu. Today's presenters, specially invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is a very special week, World Quality Week. This is observed annually in the second week of November. This year's theme is Think Differently. This session promises to be a value-added event. We invite Ms. Charmaine Hibbert to bless the proceedings with prayer after we observe a moment of silence for those impacted by the hurricane.
Good morning, everyone. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with hearts full of gratitude as we gather to celebrate World Quality Week under the theme Quality, Think Differently. We thank you for this special day, for life, for purpose, and for the opportunity to continuously grow in excellence. Lord, we give you thanks for our certification body, our dedicated team members, our clients, and our stakeholders who partner with us each day in pursuit of quality. Lord, may your hand of blessing continue to rest upon us all, guiding our thoughts, our actions, and our decisions so that we may serve with integrity, innovation, and care. Lord, as our ceremony proceeds today, we ask for your divine presence to fill this space. Bless every word spoken, every plan shared, and every heart present. Let this celebration remind us that true quality begins with gratitude, unity, and a willingness to think differently, to see the challenges as opportunities, and to approach each task with wisdom and grace. Lord, we pause to remember and to lift up our fellow Jamaicans who have been affected by Hurricane Melissa. Comfort them, provide for their needs, and strengthen their spirits during this difficult time. May our hearts remain compassionate, our hands generous, and our prayers constant for their recovery. We also thank you for blessing over our finances as our business and over the financial stability of our clients. In these challenging times, grant us provision, protection, and prosperity. May every effort of our hands be fruitful, and may our work bring honor to your name. As we reflect on this World Quality Week, help us to continue to strive for excellence, not only in our systems and services, but in the way we treat others, in the way we serve our clients, and in the way we represent you through our work. We thank you, Lord, for this day, for your presence among us, and for the blessings still to come. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Before we continue, please observe the virtual meeting etiquette. Mute microphone when not speaking, and your camera, when using your camera, please be mindful of your background. Use the raise hand feature to ask a question, and you may use the chat feature to make comments or ask questions also. Please maintain respect for everyone. And rename your profile so you can identify you by your name and your organization. Thank you as we observe those protocols. I now invite Mrs. Navinia Wellington Ford to offer welcome and to share opening remarks, after which we will receive greetings from Dr. Velton Gooden.
Mrs. Terza James Noel, Master of Ceremony, Dr. Velton Gooden, Executive Director of the Bureau of Standards Jamaica, Mr. Christopher Chinaku, representative from CQI Caribbean Chapter, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you and happy World Quality Week. I hope you're having a good one so far. It is my privilege on behalf of the National Certification Body of Jamaica to welcome you to our Quality Forum as we celebrate World Quality Week under the inspiring theme, Quality Think Differently. Each year, this observance invites us not only to celebrate our achievements in quality, but also to challenge how we define, measure, and live quality in our organizations, our community, and by extension, our countries. This year's theme, Quality Think Differently, could not be more relevant. We are gathered at a time when systems, our people, and our performance are being tested by what is considered as extraordinary circumstances. In the last 5 years alone, we have had a pandemic, multiple wars, multiple hurricanes, no doubt about it. That's a lot. I know you will agree with me. The impact of these extraordinary circumstances reminds us of how fragile our structures can be, but it has also reminded us how strong our people are. In the aftermath of such disruption, thinking differently about quality is not a luxury, it's a necessity. The status quo is no longer relevant. Recovery is not only about rebuilding or recovering what was lost. It is about reimagining how we can do things better, how we can build smarter. I mean, we're in the age of technology, so definitely building smarter, more resilient, and more efficient system that performs under pressure. Or in the words of our elders, and if you're Jamaican, you would know this saying, our old people would say, we need to wheel and come again. Traditionally, quality has been associated with compliance, checking boxes. Remember that was a theme for last year? It's not about compliance, we're talking about performance. So as we are looking at thinking differently this year, we are not just thinking about meeting the standards or avoiding errors. The past 5 years have taught us, if it has taught us anything, It's about quality, not just being avoiding failure. It's about enabling performance. It is about ensuring that that our processes deliver consistent results, even in the face of uncertainties. It is about embedding resilience and innovation into how we work, how we serve, and how we lead. So when we say quality, think differently, let's think beyond traditional matrices. Let us think about our people, because quality begins with how we engage and empower our teams. Let's think about our processes, because the systems are designed to determine the performance we deliver. Let's think about our purpose, because quality should ultimately create value, not just for customers, but for our country and region at large. As we recover from another extraordinary circumstances, our commitment to quality must evolve. We must think differently about how to sustain excellence when resources are stretched, how to adapt standards to new realities, and how to measure success not only as an output, but as an impact. This is the moment to move from a mindset of compliance to a culture of continuous improvement and performance excellence. Quality, in this sense, becomes a bridge between where we are and where we aspire to be. A bridge built on innovation, resilience, and shared responsibilities. As stakeholders, whether from government, private sector, or civil society, we each have a role to play in shaping that culture, that quality culture. When we think differently about quality, we open doors to smarter solutions, stronger partnership, and sustainable process. So today, I welcome you to the NCBJ's Quality Forum. Let us renew our commitment to not just maintaining standards, but to raising them. Let us use quality as a strategic tool for recovery and performance, a means to deliver better outcomes, serve people more effectively, and prepare our systems for the challenges ahead. Together, let us ensure that thinking differently about quality becomes our new standard, one that drives us towards excellence, resilience, and national renewal. I bid you welcome and wish for you a rich and value-added session. Thank you.
Mrs. Taraz James Noel, our Master of Ceremony for today's event. Mrs. Lavinia Wellington Ford, Manager, National Certification Body of Jamaica. Our presenters for today's event, Mrs. Abigail Jalal Henry, Ms. Roxanne Dawson, Mr. Christopher Chinapu, our client representative for today, Professor Ibrahim Ajogona, Caribbean Maritime University. And let me use this opportunity to say congratulations on your certification. The certification awardees, the other certification awardees, stakeholders, and other specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and happy Quality Day. You know, I'm happy, indeed elated to be here with you, albeit virtually, for this Quality Forum today, being World Quality Day, and indeed the commemoration of an entire week of focusing on quality. I extend warm greetings to all stakeholders and members of the quality community who have joined us online for this very important forum. Let me start by congratulating the National Certification Body of Jamaica and Mrs. Navinia Wellington Ford in particular and her team that have been doing a lot, and also for hosting this forum as part of the observance of World Quality Week. Each year, the commemoration of World Quality Week presents for all of us on the platform this morning an opportunity to reflect, indeed to share, and renew our commitment to building a strong culture of quality here in Jamaica and across the region. This year's theme, Quality Think Differently, is both timely and inspiring. It challenges us to step outside the traditional way of doing things and to see quality through a different pair of lens. In view of recent events, this year's theme could not be more relevant. In the past few weeks, our nation has been severely tested by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. We have seen unprecedented damage caused by this hurricane, and we have also seen on display strength, resilience, and community spirit at its very best. As we seek to rebuild, this theme challenges us to do more than just restore what we have lost. It asks us to reimagine, reimagine how we approach quality in our systems, in our services, our way of thinking, indeed, in our very way of life. Our current situation demands that we look at our implementation and adherence to standards. Standards and quality, they work hand in hand. When buildings are constructed to proper standards, they stand stronger in adverse events such as the Hurricane Melissa that we recently experienced. And also, when companies have certified systems in place, they recover faster and serve better. With standards and quality embedded into everything that we do, we have an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to build a Jamaica that is not just productive, but ultimately better prepared for all things, including adverse events as we recently experienced. The world is changing fast. Technology, consumer expectations, sustainability concerns, they all demand that we adapt. Thinking differently about quality means being open to innovation, being open to embrace creativity and finding smarter, more sustainable ways to deliver excellence. In order to remain relevant and achieve business sustainability, we must not only adhere to the quality standards that we know, but also think differently about how we can apply them. The National Certification Body of Jamaica continues to play a vital role in helping organizations to build capacity and open doors to new markets, both locally and globally, through certification. It being the only certification body with international recognition to offer the world-recognized ISO 9001 quality management system, and also the ISO 22000 food safety management system certifications. The NCBJ is not just certifying businesses, they're helping them to transform their operations, empowering them to strengthen processes, enhance customer satisfaction and confidence, gain market access, and ultimately to have competitive advantage. So, as we celebrate World Quality Week, I encourage all of you, yes, all of you on the platform here, this morning with us. I encourage all of you, regardless of the business sector in which you are engaged, to truly embrace this idea of thinking differently. Let us reimagine our systems, be more agile, use technology to drive efficiency, and see sustainability as a natural part of quality, considering the human element which is at the heart of the implementation and execution of quality management systems. As we go through today's presentation and taking all the information that will be shared, I leave you with the thought that together we build a Jamaica where quality is not just something we talk about, it is how we live and work every day. It is who we are. Thank you. I look forward to an informative and inspiring forum on this World Quality Day, and do enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you, Dr. Gooden, for indeed reminding us that standards and quality are embedded in all aspects of life, and we should embrace thinking differently. And Mrs. Ford for reminding us that indeed we are a resilient people and quality is at the center of thinking differently. I take the opportunity to relay Senator the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce's best regards. Regrettably, he is unable to join us today. Let us at this time take a look at a video showcasing the theme of World Quality Week by CQI.
In our ever-evolving landscape, defined by rapid change, uncertainty, and rising expectations, organizations are under pressure to do more than just keep up. They must evolve. From digital transformation to sustainability, the challenges are complex, but they are also navigable. And at the heart of the solution lies a powerful, often underestimated driver of progress: quality. In recent years, we've seen record-breaking product recalls and high-profile failures that expose deep cracks in how quality is governed and delivered. Traditional approaches aren't keeping pace. But what if there was a way to stay one step ahead of change and elevate business performance that only required a mindset shift? It's time to think differently about quality. The head of Google's DeepMind Artificial Intelligence Lab recently said that AI would be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution. It's a bold statement and a clear signal that business as usual is no longer enough. To keep up, we need to think differently about strategy, about resilience, and about quality. Other challenges such as tariffs, geopolitical tensions, and the climate crisis have disrupted supply chains, introduced regulatory uncertainty, and placed pressure on ethical standards, all areas where strong quality systems can provide stability and foresight. We've always recognized quality when we see it, but over time, it has become something we check at the end, rather than build in from the start and pay close attention to throughout. It's time to change that. Quality isn't someone's job, it should be everyone's. It's not a system, it's a way of thinking. Quality is a mindset that shapes how we lead, build stakeholder trust, and improve organizational performance. By thinking differently about quality, exploring how it can spark ideas, reduce risk, and unite teams, we can develop the resilience and agility that keep us moving forwards with purpose. So, how can you reimagine the role of quality in your own business context? Let's break it down. Start by challenging traditional assumptions about quality, exploring whether quality is driving decisions or reacting to them. Then, think about how quality principles could be embedded across every corner of your organization, from onboarding in HR to data ethics in IT. Every gap between what you offer today and what you could deliver tomorrow is an opportunity, and quality provides the answer. Integrating quality into strategic thinking supports better decisions and clarifies priorities. It aligns long-term goals with daily actions and brings people and teams together. by empowering people across departments to take ownership and ensure quality, responsibility shifts from just a few people to a fundamental aspect of organizational culture. This is more than assurance. It's about ensuring that quality influences decisions from the top down and across the business. Over the past 30 years, it's generally been accepted that the USA innovates, Asia replicates, and Europe regulates. From a quality point of view, this looks set to change. Faced with a reported quality crisis in Japan and a loss of competitiveness in Europe, driven by the burden of compliance, many of the traditional leading nations are beginning to stumble, and other countries with quality at the heart of their infrastructure have begun to emerge, such as China and India. Businesses that fail to evolve their approach risk losing relevance, stakeholder trust, and internal efficiency. In a changing world, stagnation means falling behind. But we have an opportunity. By advancing excellence in quality management, we enhance product and service value and create better outcomes for organizations, people, and the planet. Now's the time to amplify the role of quality in business. As World Quality Week approaches, take a moment to reflect, then take action. Quality, reimagined, can shape the future of your organization. By rethinking quality, we will create new ways to lead, perform, and adapt, building businesses that are resilient, responsible, and ready for what's next. Because thinking differently about quality isn't just an afterthought, it's a commitment to more impactful thinking, business, and outcomes for everyone. Join the conversation at #World Quality Week and help shape what comes next.
Okay, so that was a very informative video, and there's a lot of nuggets that we got from that video, some of which including thinking differently includes sparking new ideas, thinking of ways to reduce risk, and also to prevent stagnation in a business. We must think differently, think quality. At this time, we'll have our first presenter, Mrs. Davige Jalal Henry. Mrs. Jalal Henry is a seasoned professional in the management system, consulting, training, and auditing, with a focus on international food safety and quality standards such as ISO 9001, HACCP, and SQF. With over 2 years' experience in the field, she has developed extensive expertise through her involvement in diverse projects. Davige holds certification as a PECB ISO 9001 lead auditor and a PECB certified trainer. She currently serves as a lead auditor at the National Certification Body of Jamaica and a trainer at the Bureau of Standards Jamaica Quality Institute. Additionally, she is recognized as a Preventative Control Qualified Individual, PCQI, which underscores her proficiency in the food safety management. Her diverse roles, ranging from project management to lead implementer, have given her a comprehensive understanding of the challenges and opportunities in the field. Recently, Davige further enhanced her strategic and leadership capabilities by completing an MBA at the University of Technology. This advanced education, combined with her extensive industry experience, positions her to deliver insightful and effective solutions to her clients. This makes her the perfect person to speak to the topic, ageism in the world of quality. Let's welcome Ms. Davige Jalal Henry at this time.
Thank you, Terzal. Let me share screen. In a world where quality means continual improvement, why do we still measure potential by age instead of mindset? The theme for this year's World Quality Week is Quality Think Differently. Today, we will be exploring how rethinking age in quality professions can unlock innovation and inclusion. Today's topic is ageism in the world of quality. Think differently about experience and opportunities. My name is Davige Jalal Henry, a management system consultant. Good morning, everyone. The topics to be covered in today's presentation are what ageism looks like in quality, my personal journey, why age no longer matters, how young professionals can thrive in the quality field, and leadership's role. According to the WHO, ageism refers to the stereotypes, how we think, prejudice, how we feel, and discrimination, how we act towards others or oneself based on age. In the world of quality, being young, you are considered too inexperienced to lead audits or manage systems. While being old or older, you are considered too traditional to adapt to technological and digital tools. However, this affects the organization. It blocks collaboration, it limits innovation, and it creates knowledge silo. I know this challenge personally because when I entered the world of quality, age was the biggest hurdle I faced, and it still is something I face today. In 2015, I graduated from the University of the West Indies with my food chemistry degree. Within that same year, I was hired as a consultant for food safety and quality. In 2016, I attended my lead auditor course. And by 2018, I would have achieved the 300 audit hours, the minimum requirements to become a lead auditor. However, I was not qualified as I did not have 5 years of work experience. In 2018, I was promoted to a manager in the organization I was working at. In 2019, I became a certification auditor. In 2022, I became qualified to become a lead auditor. And by 2022, I was acting in the role of lead auditor. In 2023, I became a PECB certified trainer. And 2024, I am now and still an independent consultant. But though I had that direction in my professional career, it did not deter me from facing ageism. I was given comments like, I thought you were someone older. How long have you been doing this? Skepticism. I remember being asked by an employee, you are going to manage me? I was recently told this a few months ago. They don't like you because you are too young. I was also told being young in this field is a disadvantage. My experience taught me that quality is not about how long I have been there, but about how deeply I care about doing things that matter. So age is no longer important. So why age no longer matters? Knowledge is universal. So embrace continuous learning through participation in online forums, subscribing to newsletters, doing self-paced courses, engaging in webinars, and some of these are free. Using technology, AI, data analytics, utilize the Microsoft 365 that most of us have to use features to reduce the amount of spreadsheets that we use and increase efficiency. Use AI to streamline processes and enhance decision-making. Collaboration across generations. So create hybrid teams to work closely with seasoned professionals, break the barriers for ages, share insights, share experiences, and build mutually beneficial relationships. And its mindset is greater than years of experience. So focus on continual improvement and a growth-oriented mindset rather than just years of experience. And let the results speak louder than age. So prove competence with impactful results, add value more than focus on tenure. Demonstrate your capabilities through measurable achievements to build credibility and trust within your quality professional network. Now, how to become a young quality professional? Build fundamental knowledge. Learn the basics of quality, ISO standards, Lean, Six Sigma, root cause analysis. Acquire those skills and knowledge initially. Use technology. Apply AI, artificial intelligence. Use big data. Automate your processes through Internet of Things. So connect your machinery within the organization to the data processing. Use blockchain technology for traceability to bring about new perspectives to quality problems. Engage with the community. Participate in quality circles, professional associations such as ASQ, CQI, IFSQN, and even local quality networks where available. Find mentors across ages. So reverse mentoring. Young professionals can share their digital skills, while the senior professionals can share their experience and showcase your results, not your years. So focus on measurable improvement you drive, and quality is about impact, not about age. So what are some new careers we're seeing in quality? A new frontier for the next generation. So quality and sustainability. There is a focus now on sustainability in businesses, looking on sustainable products, processes, and suppliers. Therefore, a link between quality and sustainability management is happening today. So that's a direction to consider. Quality data analytics. So with more sensors, Internet of Things, real-time data, the quality function is no longer just about inspection, but it involves analytics. So predictive data, real-time monitoring, and supply chain quality data. Digital audit, digital quality auditing. So we are now using this technology. So auditors are no longer doing manual processes, but they are being asked to evaluate digital systems, data integrity, automated workflows, AI, virtual auditing, and continuous monitoring. AI quality engineering. So as organizations utilize AI and machine learning systems in production, the risk of failure increases. The risk of biases, the unknown, unintended behaviors. So focus needs to go there, and that is happening already. Supply chain quality. So because companies are now outsourcing, we have a global supply chain growing and regulations increasing. There's a need to focus on supplier quality, compliance audit, and traceability. Now, what about management? What can management and HR do? They can promote age diversity and inclusion, remove age identifying questions from their applications. So hiring should be about competence and not about age. Support intergenerational team, encourage mentorship and peer learning. Ensure fair opportunities for growth and development, and promote age-inclusive leadership. Now, what are the benefits of age-diverse workplaces? It improves innovation. So age-diverse teams bring unique perspectives and experiences. Better decision-making. Diverse teams make more informed decisions. Increased employee engagement. Inclusive workplaces boost employee morale and productivity. Stronger talent pipeline. Companies that value and promote age diversity are more attractive to a wider range of candidates, giving more access to a larger pool of candidates. And smaller skill gap. More seasoned workers can pass on knowledge to younger employees, while the younger persons can give fresh perspective. So in closing, age doesn't define quality, mindset does. This is World Quality Week. Let's think differently. Not about systems only, but about people. Thank you very much for listening. If you would like to contact me, It's davigatejalal@hotmail.com or LinkedIn, Davigate Jalal. And also I am on YouTube where I aim to create a community for quality professionals, David Jalal, Henry on YouTube. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Davigate. So as we see, age is just the number. All right. At this time, we'll have our second presentation by Mrs. Roxanne Dawson. Roxanne Dawson is an accomplished executive leader with extensive expertise in strategic quality management, risk-based auditing, and corporate governance. She is a chartered fellow of the Chartered Quality Institute. Roxanne is also an advisor of the an advisory board member for Prospera. Mrs. Dawson holds a master's in strategic quality management and certification, including IRCA lead auditor and IOSH project manager. Roxanne excels in developing ISO standards 9001, 14001, and 45001. Roxanne is a strategic thinking and uses her strategic thinking, analytical skills to drive business development, cost efficiency, and stakeholder engagement at all levels. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Roxanne Dawson with her presentation on climate change and its impact on the quality system. Mrs. Dawson.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to World Quality Week 2025. Think differently. At this time in World Quality Week, it's safe to say that we are currently breaking LinkedIn again. With all the global activity, it makes me proud to be a quality professional. Our title today is Climate Change. And my big question to us all today is it really relevant to quality management? Is climate change relevant to quality management systems? Let's explore. Bear with me a second. Slide not moving. Here we go. Building resilience, aligning climate action with ISO 9001. Learning from Storm Melissa, building for the future. Storm Melissa was a wake-up call for many countries like Haiti, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica, our beautiful island. Melissa's destruction was witnessed globally. At a Category 5 that disembarked upon our island, we did not stand a chance. We will go on to explore how 9001 can integrate climate resilience into quality management system. Climate change is no longer a distant threat to us. It is a present-day reality. Climate change is causing more intense hurricanes and storms. Climate change is causing rising sea levels, threatening coastal communities. It's causing disrupted rainfall patterns, droughts and floods, significant fatalities and rising death toll. I'm not even sure what the current sort of death toll is in Jamaica. The last I heard is just under 80. But of course, assessment is still being undertaken. And once we complete full assessment, I'm sure the full number will be made known. We have seen up to 295 kilometers at its peak with regards to wind speed during Storm Melissa. As a small island, developing state, Jamaica is on the front line. Key economic factors that were impacted: tourism, agriculture. These are climate sensitive sectors. Critical infrastructures saw significant damages, power, water loss, and significant disruption across the island and many countries that were impacted. These are just some of the early guesstimates with regards to the cost and restoration. We're looking currently at anywhere between 6 to 8 billion USD. Look at it through another lens, approximately about 1 trillion Jamaican dollars. Typically what we would spend in a normal fiscal year. Again, you can look at it through, this will cost us up to between 28 and 32% of GDP, a third of Jamaica's annual output. If you think back to last year when we had Storm Beryl, that literally put us back 2 quarters of the economy. Melissa is 30 times than Beryl. The corridor of damage is significant. Melissa will take us at least several years before we see any form of normalcy. These statistics underscore the catastrophic nature of Hurricane Melissa and its profound economic impact on Jamaica. The storm's devastation has left the economy facing significant challenges in recovery and rebuilding efforts. Again, I ask the question, is climate change relevant in quality? Let's have a look. We are all aware of the changes currently being undertaken in ISO 9001. On the screen at the moment is the revision timetable. The revision kicked off in 2023 and it's still ongoing. We are currently now in November 2025, and there's still further work to be done with an anticipated launch date sometime next year. So change is here, because what we cannot afford to do is wait for the full launch. We are experiencing the impact of climate change in everyday society and lives and the economy at the moment. So how can quality help? Well, the changes that are being considered are 5 key areas. The first one is focusing on sustainability. The revised standards emphasize environmental, social, and governance, which we will call ESG factors, requiring organizations to demonstrate how their quality management system accounts for sustainability, climate change. The revised standards is also looking at how we manage risk. So it will expand the requirements for risk-based thinking, pushing organizations to implement practical steps for identifying and addressing risk and opportunities within their processes and within our environments. Leadership. There will be stronger expectations for leadership to actively promote a quality culture and ethical behavior within their organizations, ensuring accountability for the effectiveness of the quality management system. We heard earlier around digital tools, artificial intelligence, and technology. The revision will encourage the integration of digital transformation, automation, AI-driven quality controls to enhance operational efficiency and resilience. We also would like to see flexibility and user-friendliness. So the revised standards will aim to simplify compliance requirements, making it more adaptable for organizations of all sizes, which includes streamlining documentations and procedural requirements. Some of the key changes that we will see is in 2025, the draft phase is currently picking up feedback from ISO members worldwide. As I noted earlier, it is expected to be replaced in September, around September 2026. I've been hearing the standards been coming for the last couple of years, to be fair, but we cannot wait. The key message is we cannot wait for it to arrive. We need to act now. Organizations certified currently under 9001/2015 will have a transition period to adapt to the new requirements. It is advisable for businesses to start reviewing their quality management system now to align to the up and coming changes. Ladies and gentlemen, our organization and our country need our help now. By understanding these changes and preparing in advance, organization can ensure a smooth transition to ISO 9001:2025 and maintain compliance with evolving our quality management system and standards. Now let's take a closer look to the key change, which I mentioned earlier, which is sustainability, climate change. The three pillars of sustainability development are environmental, social, and economic. These pillars are interconnected and they work together to ensure that development is balanced and sustainable. Now, what does this mean? Let's look at each pillar. Social sustainability involves creating an inclusive, safe, and fair societies where everyone has access to basic rights, opportunities, and a high quality of life. Its aim is to reduce inequality, support vulnerable groups, and ensure that development reaches the grassroots. Economic sustainability requires businesses to balance profits with environment and social considerations, not just profits. It promotes development strategies that are stable, inclusive, and resource efficient. And finally, environmental sustainability. This focuses on preserving the natural world, including water, air, soil, forests, biodiversity, and climate. It aims to prevent the development of permanent damage. It aims to prevent the depletion of permanent damage of natural resources. These pillars can lead to short-term gains, but long-term solutions. A closer look, we can further look at the changes of climate change we need to start preparing for. So if you look on the screen at the moment, you will see particularly the impact or where the changes you will witness come 2025 standard when it's released. Under section 4.1, the organization shall determine whether climate change is a relevant issue. Under clause 4.2, note, relevant interested parties can have requirements related to climate change. Again, I ask the question, is climate change relevant to our quality management system? You will see that the new standards or the
Mrs. Dawson, you muted. You went.
apologies.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
as I was saying, this does not propose a complete rewrite of ISO 9000 and 2015. Instead, it presents a targeted change, including the below, as we've already covered previously. Areas within our organization that could be impacted by climate change, things like areas like our supply chain, employees' health and safety and well-being. I always say and well-being. Availability of energy resources, business continuity. How quick can the business stand up post such an event like Melissa? Meeting customer requirements and expectations. How can we provide sustainable, long-lasting, future-proof solutions to our clients and our customers? Can I remind you that the success and sustainability of my business, of your business, are the result of robust management system that includes not just anticipating change, but actually assessing risk and opportunities, but also setting objectives that targets related to climate change adaptation and mitigations, and integrating climate-related requirements into your policies, your procedures, and your processes. Screen's not wanting to play today. As we look currently, we heard about digital, we heard about many of these items on the screen currently. I guess what I would ask you to do is, it's not an interactive sort of session, it's a webinar, but think about this in your personal time. Looking at the current management system on the screen, where would you say climate change currently sits in your current management system? I am hoping that we're all in agreement that climate change sits across all facets of your management system. It needs to be part of the DNA, part of the culture, part of the way we do things around here, as we've heard earlier. It's the golden thread that runs from the start to the end, from your strategy right the way through to your delivery and maintenance post-delivery. I also wanted to take the opportunity while I have you to bring to your attention that climate change doesn't just impact 9001. We also need to look at climate change through all of the ISO standards that we are certified to. So for example, looking at 14001.
Sorry to interrupt. You're being asked to share the presentation slide as it's a bit small for the
Oh, is it?
persons to see online. If you could just share the single slide.
So can you not see the slide at the moment?
It's a bit small.
Oh,
Persons
okay.
are saying it's a bit small. Yeah, it's currently showing as a split screen for us. So we're seeing
Oh,
your
is it?
face on one, and then
Oh,
we're seeing you now. So the other slide.
I've stopped sharing. Just a second. I'll
All
try
right,
that
not a
again.
problem.
Is that any better?
No, it's the same.
Uh-huh.
It's showing both screens. So we're seeing only you now. So we want it the other way around.
There's a view up at the top.
Up the top where there's view, you can try that in Zoom to see if that would assist.
Is that any better? Let me put it into presentation, hopefully. Are you still getting the same image?
The same, both screens. All right, just continue. You can just continue. Apologies, everyone.
My apologies. Let me have a look again. I'm hoping this is better.
Yes, that's
That's
it.
Apologies. We got there in the end. Right, is that better? Yes? Okay, so that was the previous slide I was looking at. I'm going to skip forward to where I was. So I was just saying that, yes, Annex, I was saying that climate change should run through the very heart of all aspects of your quality management systems. I'll move forward now. So yeah, this was a slide I was talking through. So yes, as I was saying, 9001, we should also be thinking about other ISO standards that we are certified to, inclusive of 14001 Environmental Management System, 27001 information security, particularly as we are now in the age of AI and artificial intelligence. It is so important to make sure that we have sustainable cloud-based providers that we use for our organization. We turn the news on every day and we see another impact of cybersecurity across even great organization down to the least. So we need to factor in climate resilience in our cloud-based management system. And also 45001, health and safety and well-being. And of course, in this day and age where most organizations operate an integrated management system, it makes sense we look at the full thread from across these key standards. Remember, I guess at its core, 9001 is a great framework. It provides consistent performance It provides a risk-based approach to thinking through your management system, and it definitely drives continual improvement in ensuring that we are always trying to look at ways to drive efficiency, to increase high performance, and to ensure that we have sustainable solutions. Climate change is a fundamental risk to organizational quality, stability, and continuity. ISO 9001 provides a structure to manage risk systematically. So again, I ask the question, why does this matter for Jamaica and its industry? Well, I hope by now we have a clear understanding, or on the same page, that it matters very much. ISO 9001 mandates organization must determine and address risks that can affect their ability to deliver products and services. Climate change is a top tier risk, and it should be at every board level on the top tier, should I say the top 10 board level risk. Looking at risk management through physical risk, so damages to facilities from storms like Melissa, operational risk, supply chain disruption and power outages, even market risk, changing consumer preferences, insurance costs. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is a call to action. Conduct a formal risk assessment where climate impacts are explicitly evaluated with a strategic lens looking at your organization context and your current environment. And remember, Annex SL does draw a golden thread to all of your standard to allow ease in conducting your assessments. As I wind down, couple key things, with all that being said, so what? What does good actually look like? I will just point out and leave a couple key things with you. Build into your organization management system tangible objectives, resources and contingency plans. Quality objectives, for example, in clause 6.2, set climate resilient goals. For example, reduce water consumption by 20% by 2027 to build drought resilience. How about in planning of change, clause 6.3? Ensure climate adaptation is part of your forward-thinking organization strategy and project plans. Looking at clause 8.1, operational planning and control, develop robust contingency plan. For example, a predefined hurricane preparedness and recovery plan tested and refined after an event like Storm Melissa. Dust off your plan, do, check, act sort of model. Performance evaluation under clause 9. Monitor key metrics, downtime from weather events, resource usage. Conduct internal audits on your climate preparedness plan. Don't forget 9.3, management review. Top management must review climate risk and the performance of resilient actions proposed. And of course, clause 10 on improvements, non-conformity and corrective action after Storm Melissa. What failed? What corrective actions were taken or being planned to prevent recurrence, well, as far as is reasonable practical? This is the essence of continuous improvement. This is just a quick example. Again, I'm not going to repeat these things. You would all be familiar with carbon neutral sort of approach, net zero in terms of water on the campus, biodiversity. This is an example of the education sector in UIC. What they've done is leverage both the university's strategic priorities and its position to advance climate action to achieve a just climate future for its campus and city. I hope you recognize most of these. My final questions to us all today is, are we going fast enough? Are we going far enough? We haven't even stopped to really unpack the impact of climate change on health. That's a different topic for another day. All I will say is, you've all seen these comments. These are all from our Prime Minister, Most Honorable Andrew Holness. We're all familiar with most of these. Are we engaged enough? Are we around the table as quality professional driving the conversation? Are we leading the charge for sustainable service and products to help Mother Earth and to help all of our future? That's where I will end by simply saying thank you for your invitation to partake in such an important topic. This is urgent, like yesterday, for today and beyond. Please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to carry on the conversation. I'm more than willing to support where I can, and also happy to pick up on any questions or any information post the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dawson. Indeed, a lot of nuggets there to consider, a whole lot to consider. And I hope everybody's mind was stirred as mine was. And we're going to this time Q&A, a question and answer session for both our presenters. So if you have any question or clients are on, we have other stakeholders. Now is your opportunity to ask the questions. Climate change is here and it's coming in the new version. Ask your questions, get the support you need in this limited time that we have. So if you have a question, please go ahead. All right, I see Giselle Jones-Shepherd. You may unmute and ask the question.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Both presentations were excellent. I'm from the Tourism Enhancement Fund. We're actually on our journey now to becoming ISO 9001 certified. So it sounds to me as if we need to be incorporating these new changes, because by the time we are certified, we'd probably be just before, if not right after the 2026 change. So is there a document, a draft document at all that's available at this stage to ensure that we're incorporating it in the right way?
I would probably say, and please, this is for all of us. We're all here learning together, so feel free to chip in. Anybody with any further information? Is it Veronica?
Giselle.
Giselle. Hi, Giselle. I would probably say continue on your preparation plan as you currently are. Just be mindful of the changes, but also bear in mind that we will have, usually when ISO introduce any changes, we usually have around 2 years to do the transition across into the new standards and its requirement. So what my intention was today was to give you a heads up to say the change is coming. So, but let's not wait for the change. Let's start to think about that, and where you can pick up that when you do your preparedness review or your readiness review with your ISO auditor when they come in, is build in the knowledge that you are aware of now of what's coming into your improvement plans. And then you can track the change and the development and implementation of the change in readiness for your transition period when the standard launch next year.
All right, thank you so much. And also we'll have a presentation on the updates coming up in the 9001 standard by our later presenter, Mrs. Shelley-Ann Brown. All right, Ms. Boros, you can go ahead with your question.
Hi, good morning, all. My question is for the first presenter. I don't, that's Davigale, I think. Davigale, right. You spoke on ageism. Now, as a young professional, how can one assist with the shift where there isn't a bias presented or exhibited in the organization?
Where there is a bias presented?
Yes.
One, I think it is important to point it out, because if persons may not be aware, just like any sort of discrimination, most times I don't think it's done intentionally. It is because of probably not being aware. So one is to point it out and encourage the management team to put systems in place that I would have mentioned in the discussion, having those peer groups with mixed age groups to share information, removing those biases in the interviews. A lot of interviews, one of the first questions asked is, what is your age? And that alone will bring bias. persons, a lot of time persons talk about, oh, this person is a Gen Z, this person is a millennial, and that is coming from a place of bias. So we have to call it out, not in an unprofessional way, not in a critical way, but making it known so we can act upon it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Danke.
you.
All right. We have one question in the chat from Miss Melissa Merchant Ark. With all the revisions to with all the revisions to the standards, what technology do you think would be best to track quality and risk internally, software based?
Oh, there are many softwares out there. I can't tell the name right now, but Melissa, you can reach out to me and I will definitely research and get some for you.
Reach out to them.
Yes, and it's dependent on the organization also. All right, any further questions for our two presenters? All right, if not, at this time, all right, one coming in. Miss Natasha Leader, you may go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon where I am. I am a part of a all-female agro-processing group, and the majority of the persons are over 50. So I do have the issue of ageism, but to me in the reversed way, where a lot of times persons feel because they're a particular age that they're very easy to be phased out or become obsolete. And there are a lot of things that we lose when we lose older members of the society, such as certain types of skills. We do agro-processing, so certain types of skill in processing cassava and doing traditional delicacies and dishes. And a lot of them are not probably as prevalent in terms of persons making them anymore because we lose a lot of our traditional learning and craftsmanship that way. So how can that be incorporated into the whole idea of quality and generational transfer?
If you're familiar with the ISO 9001 standard, it speaks about organizational knowledge and the organization putting systems in place to retain that knowledge. And this is basically what it's speaking about. So you have the older generation with the wealth of knowledge. They have the experience. So we harvest that knowledge from them, we document it, and we involve them in the process. We don't eliminate them because they're not aware of how to use the new technology. That's why I spoke about the reverse mentorship. So you have pair them with younger persons so they learn how to use the technology while they transfer that knowledge to the younger generation also.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. There's no further questions. At this time, we will now have a short 5 minutes break. We want to keep you engaged, so please enjoy these videos being shown. 5 minutes. So we'll get back at 11:25.
Hi, welcome to Perishables Jamaica Limited. I'm Andrew Foster.
And I'm Ewan Kelly.
For over 45 years, Perishables Jamaica Limited, producers of Tops and Sipo Copper Jamaican teas, has stood as one of Jamaica's strong and proud businesses.
Rooted in tradition since 1980, synonymous with quality and the rich heritage of Jamaican tea culture.
Tops and Sipo Copper has become a household name locally and abroad.
For over 2 decades, we have proudly carried the Jamaica-made mark, certified through the National Certification Body of Jamaica. This certification underscores our dedication to maintaining benchmark practices that meet international standards while staying authentically Jamaican.
It is a mark of quality, trust, and pride,
showing that our teas meet the rigorous requirements to compete on the global stage. This valid partnership with the NCBJ is at the heart of our journey.
Their robust certification proves that local companies like Perishables Jamaica Limited not only meets but exceeds international expectations.
Is that product made of authentic Jamaican raw material? Can you really guarantee it? We can with the Jamaica Made Mark certification. At the National Certification Body of Jamaica, the Jamaica Made Mark is given to products with at least 51% Jamaican raw material. Yes, that castor oil product or that unique bottle drink or sauce can receive the Jamaica Made Mark and so much more. Products with at least 70% local input can also receive this mark. This mark is not just a mark of authenticity, but of quality, as companies producing these products must have a demonstrated quality system in place. The Jamaica Made mark, quality and authenticity. Is your favorite brand Jamaica Made mark certified? Make we ask them now. Is that product
Wow, this looks so refreshing. Tastes good as well, but how do I know this is safe to drink? Well, that's where certification comes in. Here at the National Certification Body of Jamaica, NCBJ, we provide food safety certification to ensure that your products meet strict standards and regulation. Let's start with good manufacturing practices. GMP certification ensures that your products are made consistently and meet quality standards to ensure that your customers are safe. And guess what? It's not just for food. It applies to non-food products. Already practicing GMP? Great. You might be ready for the next level, HACCP certification. So what's HACCP? It's hazard analysis and critical control points. It's a preventive system which identifies and controls risk, such as bacteria, heavy metal, or even foreign matter before they reach your consumers. Now that's peace of mind in a bottle. Ensure that your products are safe and trusted. Get certified with the National Certification Body of Jamaica. Wow, this looks...
Okay, we have some good actresses there here at the NCBJ. We offer quality service in acting too. All right, welcome back from our short break. At this time, we'll go straight into our next presentation. Mr. Christopher Chinapu brings over 25 years, wow, of distinguished service in quality, health, safety, sustainability, resilience, and risk management. He currently serves as the chair of the Technical Barriers to Trade TBT Committee in Jamaica. Christopher is a seasoned consultant, coach, and management system specialist across diverse sectors, including energy, construction, water, national security, and higher education. He holds active roles within the CQI Caribbean branch, the CQI DEMID Special Interest Group, and serves as secretary for the CQI Renewable Energy Special Interest Group. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome at this time Ms. Christopher Chinapoo to present on the impact of climate change on.
Good morning. So again, thanks for the introduction and thanks to all the speakers that went before me. And again, I want to welcome everyone who has chose to join us this morning discussing this topic of thinking differently. So my topic is going to address the whole question of quality, thinking differently in terms of quality and trade. But I also wanted to take an opportunity to probably share some insight on some of the questions that went earlier. One of the questions had to do with making the choice of the type of technology or information systems. Now, that question, while it might seem like a very simple question to answer, it also depends on the context. Remember, every organization's context is different. And you have to, in choosing what type of system actually works best for you, you have to look at the context of your organization, consider your capabilities, your capacity, and the competence of those that that work in your organization. So we just wanted to mention that before getting started. On the other question related to where can you find information on the updates that are coming and changes that are coming in terms of the ISO 9000 FDIS? So currently, I believe it actually closed soon, but you can still find copies of those updates circulated in the. You can reach out to your local standardization body. So in the case of Jamaica, you can reach out to the BSJ and the NCBJ to get the DIS copy to make comments. Now you could actually use that, but note with the caution that it's subject to change. It's going into another stage of commentary and adjustments. However, you can also look at other resources that are available to help you in basically unpacking those standards. And I think Ms. Navinia Wellington Ford has also shared the ISO communique in the chat. So again, look at that as you look at those areas. And there was also a question regarding the risk context and whether or not you should be looking at the changes. And I would say yes, because again, when you look at the context of your organization and you evaluate using your tools like a PESTLE or SWOT, you would find that that these tools will also encourage you to look at the environmental impacts and possibly also climate change, remembering that you're looking at it in the context of the relevance to the quality of the organization. So just saying that before we go into the presentation today. So now we're going into quality thinking differently. And when we really think about this team this year is really encouraging us to reflect on be aware of our thinking. Which one do I use? Right. So okay. Oh, you all right, no problem. So I wanted to start with a question because again, as we reflect and we want to think differently, we really want to ask ourselves some questions. So what is quality? You know, and if persons will like to share, they can actually share in the chat. What does quality mean? And is the context of quality changing? Is your definition of quality changing? Because with all of what we have heard before, we would recognize that quality may have meant something to you yesterday, but it may actually mean something different today. You know, so we're going to invite you to actually to really think about it. You know, sometimes what comes to mind typically is a product that is durable, probably doesn't break, actually, or a reliable service, you know, something that is done efficiently, effectively, and so on. And these things, you know, are all within some of the definitions, whether it meets or exceeds the customer satisfaction and so on. All these things are within the past. But it may be using the same words of the past, but it also may mean different things in the context of today. So as we look at the context of today, and I do know that all of the presentations that went before shared various contexts that were important that we have to reflect on. All right. So as we think about it, so we do know that we are in a dynamic environment where there are increasing customer demands, we have changing needs, we have risk, and because of these risks, we have new dimensions of quality. And we did hear Davide and Roxanne mention the whole shift in focus in terms of sustainability and how sustainability and new sustainability business practices are actually influencing and helping to shape how quality is actually designed, planned, evaluated, and how well we innovate. You know, we have less resources and we have a greater need for value for money. You have greater pressures on the organization to reduce its emissions, reduce how it utilizes particular resources. We're talking about now greater need for social responsibility. And this whole change in context in terms of even a borderless world where we have global supply chains, you know, no longer a Jamaican company really seeking to take themselves to the next level can really operate only within the market of Jamaica. So this global supply chain comes with it and with a number of trade barriers and changing context. And it also changes how we have to think about our systems, how we design our systems. We now face with skill shortages, we face that aging society, we face with issues of ageism, and also our workforce. We also face with our Asian workforce. So now we also have to think about, you know, um, this transdisciplinary approaches and how well we include each other as we co-create the future. And that, you know, we need to recognize as we think differently that no one part of a system actually owns the outcomes that come from the system. All right. So when we think about this context, we recognize that the only thing certain is really uncertainty. So we in a very volatile environment where it's characterized by uncertainty, complexity, and a great deal of ambiguity. But on the other side of that, we now need to have vision. We need to apply a greater deal of understanding to the complexities, you know, and develop systems that help us to create some predictability. Because again, it comes down to management and leadership being about prediction, right? We also have, in the world of trade, we have regulations that are coming out in terms of 2026 and beyond in the European market, for instance, in terms of the CBAM. We have also the impact of digital passports and the creation of new trade portals, the global gateways, and all of these sort of one trade platforms that are also influencing how we think about labeling our products, how we think about packaging our products, how we think about designing our products on a whole, and even how we think about delivering those products in terms of business models. And you'll see that there are other creative business models that are being developed as a result of thinking differently about quality systems and so on. So I'm not going to actually read the points on this slide, but just to help to contextualize that because of that changing landscape and the complexity that I just highlighted, we'll recognize that in terms of multi-lateral trade agreements, it is being influenced by this, the need for climate change and so on in terms of the Paris Agreement. These things are now embedded into the trade agreements. So now your products and services, in order to trade across borders, now need to continue to meet new and evolving requirements. And some of these trade agreements are here for us to think about and to reflect on. And again, the presentation will be allowed to be circulated after the presentation. So those of us who are here and interested can actually go and look and explore more about these agreements. Because again, it's not only changing the way that we design and package and innovate around our products, but even how we move those products in terms of the maritime environment for sustainable fuels and so on. So there's a wide range of change that is taking place in the trade environment as a result of this greater focus on sustainability, resilience, and the circular economy, greater circularity within our products and services, making our products recyclable, making our products designed for repairability and so on, and deconstruction. All right. So next slide. So this is where I wanted to place some emphasis. So because of that change in complexity, you recognize one of the key things about this information space in this global environment is the fact that the information space is actually different. So now we are, when you have to actually respond to these new risks, and the changing context of your environment, you're operating one within a global information space, you're operating within a societal information space, you're operating within the fact of your own organization info space. So basically, what you'll realize is that the boundaries of your organization is actually changing. When you think about the system, before you would have think about the system as your own organization operating in isolation, sometimes of the outside. But as we rethink and you think differently about this, you recognize that in order for you to actually successfully manage this information space that is now global and characterized by new types of risk in terms of cybercrime, cybersecurity risk, you know, and a whole host of other risks that comes along with the global environment, we recognize that we now have to shift the way that we actually operate in terms of the information space dynamics. All right, so we can go to the next slide. So because of this shift in and changes in the global environment, we realize that it changes our needs in terms of sometimes our database systems. The changes also in terms of our intelligence scanning. So again, now linking again, and all of this impacts upon how we trade and how we trade both locally and internationally. Because again, I see a number of persons from the customs agency, and they will tell you that the information space around the trading goods and customs is shifting, and with a greater emphasis on a lot of harmonized standards and changes in customs codes and so on, but also at the same time attempting to standardize how these things actually move and flow within this global information space. So from an organization standpoint, you recognize that because of these changes in the whole intelligence scanning, it places a greater need on strategic management. We then have changes in terms of how we relate with our stakeholders, all right? And as climate change becomes more and more pressing on our organizations, you recognize that there's no one specialty that has all of the answers. So there's a greater need now for transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary cooperation and action within your organization to help your organization to be more resilient and to basically deliver equality in the 21st century. So we have changes in goals that then lead to changes in processes, changes in tasks. But one of the critical changes that is often neglected is the changes in the types of competencies. And I think Davide would have mentioned some of those changes in competencies, because again, now there's a need for even how you deal with your multi-generational connections and so on, as you think about the changes in competencies that is required. So definitely a key constant is change, Glenroy. I definitely can see eye to eye with you in respect to that. But we also have to recognize too, as we think differently, because a lot of emphasis in the way that we used to deal with quality before, we used to attempt to change we used to attempt to change within a particular process and often neglect how that process or how the changes that we make will impact on the entire system, right? Because again, when we think differently now about our systems, you have to recognize that the system one is a whole, and you can't just changes in one part of the system influence what happens in another part of the system, because again, systems, well, one must have an aim. There's also a network effect. There's the issue of synergistic relationships within the system, that one part of the system really depends on another part. There's the whole issue of variation and the impact of variation. And when we thinking differently, we have to actually consider these factors. And then at the end of the day, most important is the people and the relationships that are fostered within the system, as we would see in this side that we'll talk about the 5 Qs in terms of the quality of life and of quality's value chain. Yeah. So when you talk about the cues of value creation in terms of quality, we recognize that basically the customers and stakeholders are looking to improve their quality of life. Or speak up. So yeah, so their customers and stakeholders are looking to improve their quality of life. And to do that, it really depends on the quality of the relationships, how they interact with your organizations, the quality of your information flows. Again, it comes important because, again, is information, material, supplies that is moving through your system. When you think about a system in terms of input, process, and output, the information is a critical flow within that then leads to quality work, and of course the quality service. And this is all a looping cycle when we think of it in relation to a plan, do, check, act looping cycle. So again, as we rethink our quality, we need to think about how we develop our systems in relation to all of these areas of value creation, from how we're going to improve the quality of life for the customer, which is often looking for greater ease and convenience, and especially in trade, that is important, because the more we can have a simplified process for trading goods and services, you find that that level of convenience actually changes the expectations. And of course, this is why risk is not static. Your thinking about your system is not static. You have to continue now to have more agile systems to continue to make adjustments to the changes that are constant within today's 21st century business environment. Next slide. So I wanted to talk about all of that in relation to the system of profound knowledge, and recognizing that these 4 interrelated areas become so important when we need to think about thinking differently and facilitating transformation of the organization. So when we talk about thinking differently in today's environment, it forces us to really appreciate the system. Now, quite often when we talk about appreciation for the system, we tend to look at it in the boxes, but we really have a system of psychology or human factors, which is also a system that is interacting within our wider system. When we talk about a theory of knowledge, we talk about how do we learn and how do we continue to learn within our systems, right? And how do we learn? We typically learn from utilizing the data, utilizing the tools, utilizing the systems, utilizing plan, do, check, act, where we use the theory as a reference point for planning, developing, and changing our organizations. We also use SPC, which was spoken about earlier in terms of statistical process control. And of course, operational definitions, which is always very important. We have a system of variation which impacts on our system. We have special causes, common causes, that also needs to be recognized as we develop our systems. So, to stick within the 10 minutes and we utilize the question and answer. Okay, we'll get to that question and answer after. I see in the chat, Lenore, your questions that we'll answer. But just to see, as I close in this presentation in terms of, again, thinking differently. We need to recognize that one, thinking differently really requires us to cooperate differently across our system, recognizing that everyone is responsible for quality in our organization. So quality and its outcomes is not really owned by the quality department. I think that is really fundamental to the team thinking differently. We need to recognize that quality really fundamentally is the responsibility of everyone in the organization, right? The quality department is typically a facilitators of this everyone talking together, thinking together, learning together, and working together, right? And to do that effectively, we need to co-design, we need to co-create, we need to cooperate, and we need to also recognize that risk is not static. So quite often we go to an organization, you recognize that they develop their risk assessments, they did their risk assessments some years ago, and they look at that risk matrix and the risk inventories and the risk register, and it is the same from 2019 to 2025. In light of having a pandemic and multiple hurricanes affecting the region and so on, we do know that with every impact, you also have to go back, look at the risk, look at how it is impacting your organization, your supply chains. And just yesterday, we were having a conversation with Digicel, and they are now even rethinking how they build their resilience for the next series of hurricanes, how they have offline satellite systems to be able to recover and to also build that post-event resilience. So again, it's important to do this rethinking and to innovate and not remain static in order to continue to build trust in your brand and to build a brand reputation that is essential. And quite often it starts with standards, but it then also must translate into building a culture of quality within your organization. And that requires you to think continually and differently and to speak with one another. And at the end of it, we need to recognize that our quality system, our health and safety systems, our systems for sustainability are all living systems. So it's not like you develop a set of rules and practices and policies today and it remains static. You need to continue to look at it, you need to continue to evaluate it, you need to recognize if it continues to work for you. And in doing so, it requires you to ask different questions to get different answers. And that is the end of my presentation. And of course, if you would like to get in contact with us to have any conversation on any of these matters related to whether it be designing quality systems or just anything in terms of trade and development, you can reach me again like the others on LinkedIn. You can just punch in my name, Christopher Chinapu, and we can connect. So again, thank you and have a great Will Quality Week. And let's just start to think differently. 10 minutes or more. I think I spent too much time on me.
Thank you, Mr. Chinapu. All right. We're running a bit behind time, so I'm just going to be asking for a few more minutes and we'll aim to finish by 12:30. Thank you for staying with us. We have one more presentation, and our last presentation will be done by Ms. Shelley Brown. Ms. Brown is a distinguished leader, consultant, and auditor who currently serves as team leader at the National Certification Body of Jamaica. For over 20 years, Shelly-Ann has been instrumental in driving quality management, strategic management, and change management across Jamaica's public and private sectors. She is a certified ISO 9001 Quality Management System Lead Audit and Food Safety Management System Lead Auditor and Consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ms. Shelly-Ann Brown with our next presentation on ISO 9001 Revolution.
9001. It's a pleasure to speak with you today about the ongoing revision of ISO 9001, the international standard for quality management system requirements. I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague Mike Bladen, a fellow quality management expert and an active contributor to the international standards community. As leaders and decision makers across key sectors, you understand that the world of business is evolving rapidly, driven by complex supply chains, rising expectations around ethics and sustainability, and the relentless pace of digital change. Today, I'll provide a high-level overview of the strategic intent behind the ISO 9001-2026 revision. We'll explore why these changes are needed, how the standard is shifting from a process-focused tool to a holistic governance framework, and why this matters for your organisation's future. Most importantly, I'll highlight how stronger internal governance, rooted in culture, ethics, and resilience, builds the trust and partnerships essential for world trade and sustainable growth, directly linking to this year's International World Standards Day theme of SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. Let's set the stage for a conversation about how ISO 9001-2026 can help you lead with purpose, build lasting partnerships, and drive meaningful progress in a changing world.
Adopting a quality management system, also known as a QMS, is more than a compliance exercise. It's a strategic investment decision to improve an organisation's performance, build trust, and lay the foundation for sustainable business practices. ISO 9001 sets out the requirements for establishing, maintaining, and continually improving a quality management system that enables organisations to demonstrate their ability to consistently deliver products and services that meet customer and regulatory requirements.
Good morning, everyone. Happy World Quality Day. Thanks for joining the National Certification Body of Jamaica. When I think about the theme quality, think differently. Thank you, Terzo. Think differently. What comes to mind is a change in mindset, and it is needed for our survival. Look at our NCBJ staff. Our mindset has already been changed, and we're leading the think differently theme, because although we're technical persons, you saw us acting. We are responsible for the production this morning. We have a production leader. We have persons who have organized the setup. And we have started with our thinking. Davigay is also a part of our team at the NCBJ. So we have integrated and collaborated with senior persons, as well as we have young persons on board. So this morning, quality is all about staying ahead of the game, looking forward. We were the first to be accredited to the ISO 9001. So we're here today to say it's time to shift from inspection to intelligence. So as I go through my presentation, I will be challenging myself to challenge you to change mindset, right? To navigate through these uncertainty. Because with 9001, it helps us to forecast challenges, it helps us to be agile and adapt, keeping us resilient in these times. So I have here a timeline looking at the revolution of quality thinking. In 1994, I was just a young teenager then. You look at control, conformance, and consistency. Then we moved to the 2000 standard that focused on process and continual improvement. I'm sure some of us remember those days. Documentation, reviews, to ensure efficiency, accuracy, process, and of course, the introduction of digitization of some of the documentation. Then in 2015, we moved to strategic quality thinking, right? Focusing on risk, opportunity, and business context. So we had real-time insights, predictive control, and smart decisions. Moving forward, looking at what is to come. Is it a revolution or an evolution? At the end of the presentation, we may have a discussion looking at resilient quality, emphasizing culture and integration. So we're looking now at how, as an organization, are you innovating? How has your culture changed and value creation? So why change now? Why is ISO doing the revision? Because for the 2015, there was no revision. We continued with the same standard. But in today's world, as been mentioned by the previous presenters, of course, we're looking at digital transformation, global disruptions, sustainability imperative, and the list goes on as was mentioned. But one key thing I would like to focus on is what ISO calls ISO Smart. The project, it's an initiative to structure the content of the ISO standards. So continuing with the high-level structure, but why a high-level structure? So that they can be consumed, interpreted, and managed directly by software systems, making it machine readable. What does that mean for the quality professional? Looking at the jobs that are available. So what are some of the benefits as seen on the screen? Technology integration, holistic customer experience, service-specific enhancement, ethics and integrity, looking at quality assurance and standard alignment. So is it that you are now looking to ensure that all your systems are electronic? Then ISO is right there with you, preparing to have the standard on. This has been mentioned, so just won't go through again, but the emerging technologies, climate change, risk-based thinking, and quality culture is some of what you have to look at. Quality culture, looking at ethics. Are you operating ethical, right? Is there any behind the door happening? Are you confident in your quality system? Are you telling the auditors the truth, or do we have made up quality management systems? Right? How will these changes affect the organization? It was mentioned by the first and the second and the third presenter. We're looking at risk. Risk is very important. So is it a revolution or evolution of the standard? We continue to look at risk. Digital tools adoption. Are we using the AI, the IoT, and automation to optimize our production and processing? Is our decision making decision factual? Is it data driven? Or are we focusing on documentations and assumptions? Customer, stakeholder focus, strong customer engagement, suppliers and employees will drive satisfaction and accountability. And of course, sustainability alignment. Of course, the ISO standard supports the sustainable development goals. Have we incorporated these in our environment? Are we environmentally responsible? Practicing to meet the global requirements? Are we looking at how our operations are impacting the environment and not going too much into the 14,000, but quality starts with our responsibility. Okay, so the Jamaica perspective. I'm excited about quality. So, I'll just get moving with the information. Let me take it down a notch. So the Jamaican perspective, a strategic imperative for standard-led economy. I saw a post this morning where it said, our nation believes in quality. Is that for us as Jamaicans? Next slide. What does ISO look like why is it a nation priority? Of course, the QMS as a recovery tool. We have just experienced Hurricane Melissa. So the quality management system is critical because it provides the structure and discipline necessary to manage a complex resource-strained recovery effort. So we're looking at our organizations. Are you looking at your business continuity? That's quality. Are you assessing to see the degree of what percentage of your operations are in effect, how you're able to manage, when will you recover, what strategy will you put in place? A standard driven like ISO 9001 will definitely support. It's also a gateway for trade. And from the 1990s, Jamaica has embraced using quality management systems so that we can have credibility in the market, as our mantra is certified locally, compete globally. Of course, a national quality infrastructure. My manager likes to say pop your color, because we were the first to gain accredited ISO 9001 in the Caribbean, right? So Jamaica has established the national quality infrastructure. So it is a national priority. Driving public sector excellence. Most of our clients are a part of the public sector, and we too, because we support the journey, is a part of that transformation. Enabling Vision 2030. Today, quality is a national priority aligned with Vision 2030 Jamaica to enhance competitiveness, resilience, empower all business. So if we're not looking at our risk, if we're not looking at our business continuity, if we do not have a plan to recover from Melissa, then of course the Vision 2030 will only be a vision and will still be tarrying for it to be accomplished. So how do we prepare for ISO 9001-2025? First, you must understand the standard. You must familiarize your team and yourself with what is to come. It was published and it was sent out by the Bureau of Standards for a revision. That review date for you to submit your comments has ended, but you can still get a copy of the draft and do your own review. And it is still in draft, so it is not yet for implementation, but just for you to become familiar and also let your voice be heard at the international level, right? Conduct a gap analysis, see where you are and where you plan to go. Not only expecting for the standard to be revised, but looking at your own business to say, based on what is happening in your context, how can I touch these topical issues so that when the standard is actually published, you are now ready to implement? Update documentation. Again, not waiting for the standard to be published, but looking again that based on the results of your stakeholder analysis, your context analysis, you're able to update, to change, of course, trying to align it with the requirements of the 9001. Train employees. We're in the recovery stage, or we're in the short-term recovery stage from Melissa. Are you looking now at what you need to do differently, thinking differently, and how to move forward? And of course, always, because this standard is about leadership, it's about governance. So of course, securing your leadership buy-in to ensure top management commits resources. Next slide, please. So I end here today. Quality is everyone's route. No shortcuts on the road to excellence. So we have to take our time, keep in our lane, but be consistent. It's not an immediate overhaul of the standard, but it's an evolution, adding to the foundation of the 9001 standard to ensure that we have proper governance, proper implementation to ensure growth and sustainability in our country and in the organizations. Thanks again and happy World Quality Day. The floor is now open for questions.
So the answer to the question, Glenroy, on the changes in the Caribbean planned emergent, just could you clarify what context you were talking about there? Are you talking about the ISO specifically, or in terms of the trade environment? Because I could tell you that the answer, if it's the trade environment, I'll make the assumption, it will be both. All right, because again, everyone is looking at the geopolitical space right now where there's a high level of uncertainty. I didn't want to actually bring it up too much, but you would see there is a greater emphasis on tariffs and the use of tariffs, which technically is a barrier to trade, is not something that I know the region actually supports. So within the region also, you would find.
Chris, if I may intervene quickly, I don't want
go
to
ahead.
steal your thunder. So we have some dynamic forces in the Caribbean that we are subject to arising out of decisions being made by some of the major players, the major countries, and the extent to which we are vulnerable and the extent to which we can mitigate. Probably we may not be able to mitigate completely, but we'll have to develop strategies in terms of our path forward.
So yeah, definitely. So that again, well, the number one dynamic is the unilateral imposition of tariffs right now. And of course, within our region, we also have our move towards strengthening our CSME. So the more that we become stronger as a region around the CSME, that's really part of the mitigation strategy. But then there are also challenges around that these days also. So so again, even as a region, it really emphasized the need for us to think together, to continue to work together, and to be collaborative and co-create what we really want to see in terms of our Caribbean region. Also, the risk right now with respect to military intervention in the region is also another key a key risk, because again, that has the risk to also shut down our shipping lanes. You know, persons really probably don't think about the shipping lanes and the shipping routes when they think about war, but that is actually a risk, and that then increases the cost of goods actually landing in the region, and so on. So these are all risk again. It was contextualized in terms of the supply chain and things like that.
And in terms of, Chris, your sustainable competitive advantage that we have, and that is diminishing and reshaping with each year, with each economic session or season that we face. As much as we plan, the bigger forces around the world are even come to avail some of the plans that we are putting in place. The cyclones are even created that are not really man-made, well, okay, that are not natural. And for example, Jamaica had an experience. How much of it is really naturally occurring, and how much of it has inputs?
Well,
So there are questions to be answered.
Well, again, I wouldn't go into those, but again, it's just for us to recognize that the geopolitical environment and space is continually changing. We have to also focus on what we can control, and it's also important for us to recognize that the impacts on our organization extend beyond the typical boundaries of our organization. So again, it is a matter of looking at the boundaries and also cooperating along our value chain. So this rethinking really requires us to think differently and recognize that the cooperation that we need may not only be within our organization, it may be extraneous to the organization. So like right now, for instance, the power company and the phone company have to work together in order to bring back connectivity. So you recognize that you can't work in silos anymore. So I think that
and to what extent can we future-proof ourselves?
Well, the future-proofing of ourselves will also be dependent on the cooperation and the collaboration across sectors. So I want to end that there, because there are quite a number of questions. Quite a number of questions there.
Yes, so Chris, go ahead. I'm good.
Thank you so much. We see some more questions in the chat and maybe otherwise. So we will note the questions, or you can communicate them to us and we'll respond accordingly. But we'll continue in the interest of time. But we'll note your questions and provide a response. All right. Thank you so much for your understanding. All right. So this is the moment that we want your attention as we focus on our most esteemed guest for today, our newly certified clients. Caribbean Maritime University, CMU, Factories Corporation of Jamaica, FCJ, JADCO, Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission. These clients have demonstrated resilience and innovation through their implementation and successful certification. This signifies increased performance in Jamaica's quality infrastructure and subsequent success in the global market. Congratulations. Let's see those hands. So congratulations to our newly certified clients. We now invite Professor Ibrahim Ajaguna, Deputy to the President of the Caribbean Maritime University, to share his remarks on behalf of our newly certified clients. Professor?
Thank you very much for this invitation. Let me first of all congratulate NCBJ for organizing this webinar in celebration of World Quality Week. While this is going on in Jamaica, the University Council of Jamaica is equally celebrating this in Belize. It would have been our intention to I would love to be in Belize also to celebrate this week with UCJ, but unfortunately, we are unable to do that. But let me quickly stand on the established protocol and to say that it is a privilege for us to join you this afternoon in celebrating World Quality Week under the theme, Quality Think Differently, an occasion that challenges us to reflect, innovate, and reaffirm our commitment to excellence. Let me start with a quote from the Bhagavad Gita, which resonates with the theme of this week's virtual meeting. Quality, think differently. And the quote goes, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards is set by exemplary act, the whole world pursue. And this is what NCBJ has demonstrated this morning to this afternoon. On behalf of my president, Professor Andrew Spencer, and the entire team at the Caribbean Maritime University, I extend warm greetings to the National Certification Body of Jamaica, our presenters, and I must say that I was very, very excited with the 4 presentations that were made earlier on today. And to all distinguished guests gathered here on this cyberspace to celebrate World Quality Week. When I look at the participants, initially it was over 200, but now it has dropped down to 191. I believe people are now rushing for their lunch or things of that nature. Well, it is an honor to share in this moment of reflection and renewal, when we pause to celebrate not only how far we have come, but also to imagine how much further we can go when we embrace new ways of thinking about quality. Quality is an essential part of everyone's life. It shapes our expectations, influences what we strive to achieve, and it defines how we perceive the finer things in life. It is reflected in the clothes we wear, the food we eat, and even in our choice of education. The more reason why more youth, Gen Z, as one of our presenters, David Gay, said earlier on, are gravitating more to the university here on the Palisados. Ultimately, what we seek is not merely quantity, but quality in everything we value and that we pursue. The theme, quality, think differently, speaks directly to the times we live in. This new world order, where innovation, technology, and transformation are redefining every aspect of our lives, as alluded to by our various presenters, from how we educate and communicate to how we work, trade, and lead. Thinking differently about quality requires us to move beyond the traditional mindset of compliance, beyond ticking boxes or meeting minimum standards. It calls for creativity, agility, and courage. It means asking new questions, challenging the old systems, ageism, as our presenter said earlier on, and daring to see possibilities where others see limitations. All these were reflected by NCBJ during the audit of the Caribbean Maritime University. And I must say, let me pause at this point to say that the extensiveness of your audit was high above that of Lloyd's of London that we have worked with for a number of years. And I want to say congratulations to you all at NCBJ. At the Caribbean Maritime Universities, this theme resonates deeply with our mission. As Jamaica's only specialized maritime university, our pursuit of quality extends beyond academic excellence. It is embedded in our culture, in how we train our students, and in how we prepare them to serve the global marketplace. We see quality as a journey here at the university, not a destination. It is a continuous process of improvement that demands innovation, integrity, and inclusion. Whether in our classrooms, our laboratories, or our international partnerships, we are constantly asking, how can we do this better? How can we add more value to what we do? And how can we continue to think differently? Quality assurance at its core is about trust in the system, in our people, and in our outcomes. It is about ensuring that we deliver, our delivery meets the expectations of those we serve. But in today's dynamic world, maintaining trust requires adaptability. The work of the National Certification Body of Jamaica is therefore critical. Your leadership in maintaining and promoting standards across Jamaica provides a foundation for national competitiveness and global recognition. As institutions, industries, and individuals, we depend on your effort to ensure that quality is not just a slogan, but a lived experience. It is something that drives excellence in manufacturing, education, services, and beyond. And so, as we mark this year's World Quality Week, let us embrace the challenge of this theme. Let us commit to thinking differently about quality, not only in how we design our systems, but in how we lead, how we innovate, and how we serve our people. Let us think differently about the role of quality in building resilient institutions, ethical leadership, and sustainable growth. Let us think differently about the power of collaboration, how academia, government, and industry can work harmoniously to create a culture of quality that advances Jamaica's vision for development and prosperity. In closing, I want to commend the National Certification Body of Jamaica for its unwavering commitment to excellence and for creating this important platform where quality professionals and leaders can learn, share, and inspire each other. As we continue this journey, may we all be reminded that quality is not a department or a policy. It is a mindset, which was emphasized earlier on in one of the presentations. It is the quiet determination to do things better, to serve with purpose, and to pursue excellence in everything we do. Together, let us think differently, act boldly, and continue to build a Jamaica and a Caribbean where quality is our signature and our standards. And I must say also that since we have received the certification from NCBJ, we have equally received and be accepted into the International Maritime University, which makes us to be amongst the 15% of leading maritime universities in the world, not just in the Caribbean. And we are the only institution now in the Caribbean to have received that certification, International Association of Maritime University. My president was in Chennai, India, 3 weeks ago to receive the flag and to receive the certificate. And they both came around the same time with NCBJ certification. So once again, I want to say thank you for inviting us to make this remark. It is not a presentation, so I never use a slides show. And to say that we continue to work with NCBJ to advance quality in education in Jamaica. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ajagona. And congratulations once more to all the certified clients. We are now inviting Ms. Chantel Campbell, Certification Officer here at the NCBJ, to give the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we come to a close of today's thought-provoking and informative quality forum, as we celebrate World Quality Week, it is my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks to all who made this quality forum a success. First and foremost, our sincere gratitude goes to our distinguished presenters. And you would agree with me that all of them, they were excellent. So we thank you, Mrs. Davigay Joel Henry, Mrs. Roxanne Dawson, Mr. Christopher Chinapu, and Miss Shelley-Ann Brown. We also want to thank all our participants and attendees for engaging in our quality forum. And we also want to thank our valued clients and newly certified clients for joining us in this refreshing forum. I also want to extend thank you to all the members of the NCBJ team. They have been excellent in putting together this forum. And I also lastly want to thank our Masters of Ceremony, Mrs. Teresa James Noel, for guiding us through the program. She was excellent. And so we thank you. And I just want to encourage us to challenge the traditional quality management methods and embrace innovative, agile, and resilient approaches to quality that foster success and create lasting value. Thank you once again for being a part of this event, and we look forward to seeing you at our future sessions. Happy World Quality Week, and let's start thinking different.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell, Miss Campbell, Marignon. Thank you, Miss Campbell, for giving us the vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our World Quality Week Forum 2025. It was a pleasure sharing this time with you, and see you next year. I am Teresa James Noel. Have a good afternoon. Please, I'm going to be asking persons not to leave, but we're going to be asking you after this video to open your camera. We're going to take a few screenshot photos for record purposes. Thank you.
Oh, who this snow? Yes, my dear. But they check off and I put some records together because I plan to get certified. Yes, certified. We plan for export and certain criteria required. We want to earn foreign currency and get premium price for my goods as well.
Here at the National Certification Body of Jamaica, we provide certification programs for the agricultural community. These include CAP, Certification of Agricultural Produce, and Organic Certification. With CAP, the benefits are significant. Management system implementation and improvement, operational efficiency, access to export market, and increased consumer confidence. With the organic certification program, you are guaranteed international market access, fraud protection, access to local premium retail value chain, organic brand identification, and consumer confidence. Become a valued client. Certify locally, compete globally.